Hello, everyone. I hope you are having an incredible day. This is Miss Q, and we are going to get to read a very fun story today. It is called How Chipmunk Got His Stripes. So, How Chipmunk Got His Stripes is the title of our story, and it was written by Joseph Bruchak and James Bruchak. The pictures were drawn by Jose Arguego and Ariana Dewey. So, let's learn a little bit about our author and our illustrator. So, meet the authors, Joseph Bruchak and James Bruchak. As a boy, Joseph Bruchak listened to his grandfather tell stories of their Native American heritage. Joseph passed these stories down to his son James. Now, this father and son team write books together, such as Raccoon's Last Race. Okay, so those are the two people who wrote the words in our story. Now we're going to meet the two people who drew all the pictures. So, meet the illustrators, the people who drew the pictures. Jose Arguego and Ariana Dewey. These two artists make a great team when they are working on a book. Jose Arguego first draws the lines for the characters using a pen and ink. Then Ariana Dewey paints the colors. In this way, they have illustrated more than 60 books. So they like to illustrate together. Jose likes to just draw the lines for the pictures, but Ariana, she likes to color them in. So, what the story we are about to read is a folk tale. A folk tale is a story that has been told again and again. The characters in a folk tale are usually not real people. Some folk tales have animals as main characters. Folk tales are often teach a lesson. The animals in the pictures on the first few pages of the story are talking to each other. So I think this story is definitely a folk tale. So as we read, see if you agree with me. So how can stories help us learn a lesson? Think about that as we read, and think about what kind of lesson does this story help us learn? One autumn day long ago, Bear was out walking. As he walked, he began to brag. I am Bear. I am the biggest of all the animals. Yes, I am. I am Bear. I am the strongest of all the animals. Yes, I am. I am Bear. I am the loudest of all the animals. Yes, I am. I am Bear. I am Bear. I can do anything. Yes, I can. As soon as Bear said those words, a little voice spoke up from the ground. Can you really do anything? Bear looked down. He saw a little brown squirrel standing on his hind legs. Can you really do anything? Brown Squirrel asked again. Bear stood up very tall. I am Bear. I can do anything. Yes, I can. Can you tell the sun not to rise tomorrow morning? Brown Squirrel asked. I have never tried that before, but I am Bear. I can do that. Yes, I can. So Bear brags about being big and strong. What are some things that people might brag about? So think of people you know who often brag. What kind of things do they brag about? When I think about it, I think of people who brag about being good at something, such as being good at school or sports, or bragging about how well they can play something. Doesn't matter. Some people just like to brag. What a character thinks, says, and does tells us a lot about what the character is like. How do Bear's actions show you what he is like? Well, if I think about it, I know he says he's the biggest and strongest and loudest animal and can do anything. So he also thinks he can stop the sun. So he's not being very smart, because it's not, stopping the sun is not something people or animals can do. So let's go to the next page. Bear turned west to face the sun. It was the time when the sun always goes down. Bear stood up to his full height and spoke in a loud voice. "Sun, do not come up tomorrow!" At his words, the sun began to disappear behind the hills. "You see," Bear said, "Sun is afraid of me. He is running away." "But will the sun come up tomorrow?" Brown Squirrel asked. "No," Bear answered, "the sun will not." Then Bear turned to face the east, the direction where the sun always used to come up. He sat down. Little Brown Squirrel sat down beside him. All that night they did not sleep. All night Bear kept saying these words. "The sun will not come up. The sun will not come up. But as the night went on, Little Brown Squirrel began to say something too. He said these words. "The sun is going to rise. Oh." Why do you think the letters when Bear tells the sun not to come up? Whenever you see lots of capital letters, it means that it shows that someone is being very loud. So when the author was using capital letters, it means that Bear is being very loud. So let's continue to read. All through the night they sat there, one by one, others, rabbit and porcupine, hawk and owl, otter and beaver, frog and turtle, and even the little mice came. They wanted to see who would be right, Bear or Brown Squirrel. This is what the other animals heard. "The sun will not come up. The sun is going to rise. Oh, the sun come up. Is going to rise. Oh." Finally, it was just before dawn, the time when the sun always used to come up. "Look," said Turtle, "a light is starting to show." "Yes," said Owl, "I believe the sun will rise today." Bear only chanted louder. The sun will not come up. The sun is going to rise, oh. Why do the other animals join Bear and Brown Squirrel? They come because they want to see who is right. Just before the sun rises, Bear starts chanting louder. Why does Bear do that? Maybe he knows the sun will come up, but he is stubborn and he does not want the other animals to see that he was being silly and wrong. That could be. What happens right before Bear starts chanting louder? What happened right before was Turtle sees a little bit of the red in the sky, and Owl says the sun will rise. Do you think Bear wants to hear what Owl and Turtle have to say? Nope, they didn't want to hear what he had to say. Let's keep reading. And the sun came up. The birds sang their welcoming songs. The bright light of the new day spread over the land. Everyone was happy except for one animal. That animal was Bear. He sat there with his head down and a grumpy look on his face. The happiest animal of all was Little Brown Squirrel. The sun came up, he chirped. The sun came up. The sun came up. The sun came up. Brown Squirrel was so happy he forgot what his wise old grandmother had told him when he was very young. Brown Squirrel, his grandmother had said, it is good to be right about something, but when someone else is wrong, it is not a good idea to tease him. Now, little Brown Squirrel began to tease Bear. Bear is foolish, the sun came up. Bear is silly, the sun came up. Bear is stupid, the sun. Okay, how do the animals act after the sun comes up? Well, I see that everybody seems to be happy. Everybody except Bear. Why do you think the animals react this way? Maybe because the animals would be unhappy if the sun did not come up anymore, and they don't like Bear's bragging. Part of it is they don't how prideful he is. Brown Squirrel's grandmother tell him it is not a good idea to tease people. Well, why do you think it's not a good idea to tease people? Why is that not okay? It's probably because when you tease somebody, you might hurt their feelings. It's not right to make a person feel bad. So let's see what happens next. Whoomp. Bear's big paw came down on Little Brown Squirrel, pinning him to the ground. Bear leaned over and opened his huge mouth. Yes, Bear growled. The sun did come up. Yes, I do look foolish. But you will not live to see another sunrise. You will not ever tease anyone else again, because I, Bear, am going to eat you. Brown Squirrel thought fast. You You are right to eat me, he said. I was wrong to tease you. I would like to say I am sorry before you eat me, but you are pressing down on me so hard that I cannot say anything. I cannot say anything at all. I cannot even breathe. If you would lift up your paw just a little bit, then I could take a deep breath and apologize before you eat me. That is a good idea, dear Bear said. I would like to hear you apologize before I eat you. Brown Squirrel says Bear is right to eat him. Do you think he really means this? I don't think he does. He is trying to trick Bear. What are some words to describe characters that act this way? Squirrel is kind of being a little sneaky. He's a little clever. He's sly, tricky, and he's crafty. Those are all words that could describe how Squirrel is acting. Why is Bear fooled by Brown Squirrel's trick? It's a good question because Squirrel is saying an awful lot for someone who can't breathe. But Bear thinks he is smarter than everyone, so he doesn't expect to be tricked by Squirrel. Let's see what happens next. So Bear lifted up his paw, but instead of apologizing, Brown Squirrel ran. He ran as fast as he could toward the pile of stones where he had his home. He had a tunnel under those stones and a nice warm burrow underground. Little Brown Squirrel's grandmother stood there in the door waiting for him. Hurry, Brown Squirrel, she called. Hurry, hurry. Little Brown Squirrel dove for the door to his home, but Bear was faster than he looked. He grabbed for Little Brown Squirrel with his big paw. Bear's long, sharp claws scratched Brown Squirrel's back from the top of his head to the tip of his tail. What clues in the text help you to figure out the meaning of the word tunnel? So let's just look at this page right here. What clues tell you what this tunnel is? It says the tunnel is under a pile of stones. There is a warm burrow underground. That tells us that it's basically a giant hole. Bear says he will eat Brown Squirrel. What does Brown Squirrel do in response? Brown Squirrel lies about apologizing. So Bear lifts up his paw and Brown Squirrel runs. Okay, let's go to the next page. But Brown Squirrel got deep down in his burrow where couldn't Brown Squirrel next to his grandmother and slept all winter while those scratches on his back healed. Brown Squirrel will act differently in the future. Why do you think so? I think that he'd be wise to act differently in the future. And that yes, he probably will be more careful not to tease other animals because he hopefully has learned that that's not a good thing to do. Why did Bear scratch Brown Squirrel? He scratched him because he teased him, and it's not nice to tease, and that got him angry. Do you think Brown Squirrel will ever tease anyone again? If he's learned his lesson, probably not. He probably won't tease again because he would not want to get hurt again. When spring came again, little Brown Squirrel came out of his hole and looked at himself. There were long, pale stripes all the way down his back where Bear had scratched him. He was Brown Squirrel no longer. He was now Chipmunk, the striped one. That is how Chipmunk got his stripes. Ever since then, Chipmunk has been the first animal to get up every morning. As the sun rises, he scoots to the top of the tallest tree to sing his song. The sun came up, the sun came up, the sun came up, the sun came up. How does Chipmunk change at the end of the story?